Es bleiben im Raum Keitel, Jodl, Krebs und Burgdorf.
Are they gone? Sweet. Now, this here is a game you must have. If you've been on the sidelines debating with yourself whether or not this is a game for you, if you've just had that small bit of belief that just maybe this might be a game you enjoy, trust me, that is enough. Because while watching this game is entertaining, playing it, oh, it's something else. Doom Eternal is without hesitation one of the best first-person shooters I have played this generation. id Software has really outdone themselves once again, bringing new heights to not only the Doom franchise but the genre. I could rip and tear into everything I love about this game for hours, but I'll be a good boy and just keep it short, sweet and bloody. Firstly, the gameplay from Doom 2016 had already been cranked up to 11. Now they've turned it to 420 with Doom Eternal. In addition to the double jump which makes a return, you've got dashing, a flame belch, grenades, a chainsaw, a punch explosion, and eventually something else. That's almost too much to remember, and you'd be forgiven if you forgot to use all of these mechanics regularly. You know, when I actually go back and review some of my own gameplay, it's a lot like looking back at my life. It's like, oh my god, I shouldn't have done that, or oh, why didn't I do that? I should have done it that way. Because what's really distracting me are the weapons. Oh, these things are going to be on the wall of a museum one day. Almost every weapon in the game has 2 separate modifications or alternate fire rates, which you can buy with weapon points that you earn while you play the game. Because of the lower ammo count, the game encourages you to use all of them equally, not to mention that different enemies have different strategies. So you do feel like a bit of a juggler at times, especially for the first few missions. I'm calling on id Software right now to reveal the identity of the person whose idea it was to put the meat hook on the double shotgun, because they deserve a Nobel Peace Prize. And this for me, in Doom Eternal, is probably the highlight of the game. Get over here! There are technically 32 different enemy types in this game, including the boss battles, which sounds ludicrous, sure. But the game throughout does a decent job at leveling out each battle section, and they do introduce enemies all the way up to the end of the game. Now, that's not to say this game is easy. Far, far from it. I wouldn't put this down to just mindless fun. You'd be surprised that there's a greater level of strategy than you would think. I died quite a bit, and I was only playing on Hurt Me Plenty. Yeah, make fun of me all you want, but I'm going back to play this game again through Ultraviolence and eventually Nightmare. Like I said, different weapons have more effectiveness on different enemy types, and some people might not like the reduction of freedom, but honestly, I didn't have a big issue with it. I love the weak point system they've added, sniping off the mounted turrets or their missile launchers, and the way that enemies decay the more damage you do with the armor stripping mechanic. I enjoyed pretty much all of the different enemy types in the game that they had to offer. I never felt that there was any of them that were too hard to overcome. As long as you were respectable, you know. Okay, so if there's anyone watching who is playing the game right now and struggling with these Marauders, here's what I can tell is the best way to deal with them. First off, you're going to want to kill most of the demons, but be sure to leave a few lingering about in case you need ammo or health. After you connect a shot to the Marauder when he opens his weak spot, from what I can tell he tends to have this predictable AI path. After engaging, you'll want to back up and let him use his throw ability, which as long as there's a bit of a distance between you, it's just a simple dash to the side. What he tends to do 90% of the time is just attack you head on, and you just have to repeat the motion until he glows up. The other 10%, he'll often change his position and maybe throw another axe at you, but after a little bit of experimenting, that's from what I can tell are your best odds of overcoming the Marauder. Sincerely, ScotJordan. The story side of the game doesn't exactly jump out to me as memorable. The plot is simple. Earth has been invaded by hell. Who's responsible? Who was it? It was you. This will definitely satisfy hardcore Doom fans who know the lore very well, but for God's sake, the Doom franchise is older than me. What do you want me to say? And to be perfectly honest, if this is what you're doing 90% of the time, Lord knows I'm not seeking an objective. I seek the blood and guts of each and every one that brings us closer to the abolition of demonic consumption. Was that good? There, that's good. I can go on our little Doom service we've planned for the future. Hey Joel Osteen, take notes. The other 10% you're either doing some exploration or jumping through platforming sections, which I've noticed a lot of people have disapproved of in Doom Eternal, and I don't really get what all the fuss is about. I've watched a few videos from both sides for reference, and what the opposers are saying is the idea of the platforming doesn't really scream Doom, it's often buggy, and it brings the fast fluid combat to a stalemate. Now, while I can understand where they're coming from, my response is, would you rather have just preferred, instead of jumping on monkey bars and walls, would you have preferred just to jump in an elevator and stand about listening to exploitable dialogue for 20-30 seconds? The combat is what I'd call an organised cluster with a heavy-hitting soundtrack, by the way, which is probably the closest I've been to steroids so far. That solving little puzzles during these quiet moments makes a lot of sense. The biggest negative I have with this game is the repetitive nature of the chaotic gameplay. I can only play about an hour of this game until I realise I must stop before I glory kill someone IRL. And if these peaceful sections didn't exist, then I reckon that time window would be a little less. I mean, the platforming is nothing to write home about, but I just think it's been a part of the game that's been stigmatized because I guess it's just a complete 180 of what the game proudly sells itself as. Oh, for Pete's sake. Excuse me, fellas, you can't stay here. The government has issued a lockdown. Can you please just go home? Whoa! Oh, so they want it to go fast. Fine.
I execute judgment on you, Satan! You destroyer! You killer!
The other part of this game I don't have much to say on is the multiplayer battle mode. Now, I've played a little bit of it to understand how tense and pulse-pounding it can be, but it's something I don't see myself playing very long. Now, I'm sure you'll play it a lot more if you've got friends to play with, but unfortunately for me, none of my friends bought it. You know, I tried to persuade them that this game would make them happy, but I don't think they trusted me, so I've got no choice but to just play it just by myself. I hate to repeat what you've probably heard 1,000 times, but right now, what's going on in the world, these are trying times for all of us. And Doom Eternal has arrived just in time to help. With so many great games that have this common theme of breaking our hearts and taking a piece out of us, Doom Eternal just values you as a human being and wants you to have a kick-ass time. The fast, fluid flow to combat, especially when you're just in that flow of landing your shots, repositioning yourself at most needed times, and the demons just can't even get a grip on you. Along with the fun exploration throughout each level that gives good replay value if you discover the secrets. It all just comes together as a great reminder to me as to why I've taken such an interest in this industry. You guys take care of yourselves, thanks for watching, stay safe, I'll see you soon.